One, two, three, eyes on me. Welcome, guests, family members, grandparents, and our third grade class is with us today as we celebrate our second annual Veterans Day, who are a very special part of our lives and have served our country and made many sacrifices to provide us with the freedoms we enjoy today. So on behalf of the faculty, staff, welcome to our school today. Special thanks to all of you who are here with us today and to all of you who visited with us throughout our live feed on the web. So we're actually broadcasting this on the web for our classrooms who aren't able to be in the auditorium today, but also for family members who may be able to access it through the web. So thank you to Mr. Clausen and Mr. Haynes for making that a possibility. Today we're honoring a total of 52 veterans this morning, including my own grandfather, for their service and sacrifice to protect the freedoms that we enjoy in our great country. There are many people who made this event today a reality. Jennifer, Carla, and Alicia, and our PTA for the wonderful breakfast refreshments. If you would stand, if you're here, we want to give you a round of applause. Mr. Kwame Slaughter and the following E-Rivers Cub Scouts and Girl Scouts, which includes Cub Scout Pack 49. If you're part of these groups, please stand up. Cub Scout Pack 49, 5th grade Girl Scout Junior Troops 13536 and 13677. 4th grade Junior Troop 16595, 3rd grade Brownie Troop 14599, and 2nd grade Brownie Troop 16398. Thank you very much. One of the most beautiful things about this service is the way that the students have taken the lead to create such a special event. Special thanks also to Ms. Victoria Salzman, who helped coordinate the program and the participation of all our Girl Scout troops. So where's Ms. Salzman? Is she in the room? There she is. Thank you, Ms. Salzman. I also want to thank Mr. Campbell. I don't know that he's in the room, but he was helping put out chairs. He made everything nice this morning and set that up. He is our building manager, so if you see Mr. Campbell, tell him thank you. We couldn't do this successfully without his support. And Ms. Boucher, she helped plan with a lot of the events that are going on today. I would also like to acknowledge our newest flag on display, right up here. That flag was a gift to us from the 5th grade graduating class from last year. And it was given to us by Congressman John Lewis. It flew over the United States Capitol on April 11th, 2016. It's a wonderful gift from our last year's 5th grade. So I just want to, we just hung it up. So I want to say thank you to Congressman Lewis and Russ Blauser for helping make that a reality. And now I would like to introduce our 5th grade Girl Scouts and Cub Scouts for a brief program. First up is Carolyn Watson.
On behalf of our Junior Girl Scout Troops 13536 and 13677, as well as Cub Scout Pack 49 and the E-Rivers community, thank you for joining us this morning for Veterans Day at E-Rivers.
Veterans Day is a very important occasion for us to show appreciation for the accomplishments and sacrifices of our U.S. military, including those who have served in the U.S. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guards.
For those of you here today who served in the Navy, please accept our warm gratitude.
As you may know, the poppy has become the over time traditional symbol for Memorial Day and even Veterans Day. This tradition is believed to have been inspired by an officer and medical doctor, Major John McCrae, who served in World War I and was second in command of the 1st Brigade Canadian Field Artillery during the Battle of Ypres in April and May 1915. It is believed that the death of his friend Alexis Helmer was the inspiration for McCrae's now famous poem In Flanders Fields.
Stories vary on how the first draft is written, but one account says that Major McCrae was seen writing the poem the next day while looking at his friend's grave and the vivid red poppies that were springing up throughout the cemetery. We hope you enjoy our presentation of his poem, In Flanders Fields.
In Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row. They mark our place, and in the sky the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below.
We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, and saw sunset glow. Loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields.
Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw. The torch be yours to hold it high, if ye break the faith with us who die. We shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields.
When the poem became more widely known after the war, Moina Bell-Michael, an American teacher, teamed up with Madame Anna Guerin and began encouraging people to use the red Flanders poppy as a way of remembering those who had suffered during war.
Over time, the Flanders poppy became a symbol of remembrance for Veterans Day and Memorial Day. And now please join us as we recognize our veterans and our families this morning.
And now I will read out the names of all of our honored veterans. As I do, I will invite the members of 5th grade Girl Scout Troop 13677 to present each veteran and or his or her family members with poppies made by several of our E-Rivers Girl Scout troops, including Troop 13536, those are our 5th graders, and 14599, our 3rd graders. So as I call out your name, or if you're representing a family member, if you'll come up this way, come across this way, you'll receive the poppy, and then we'll do a photo op right down there. All right, these are in alphabetical order. We'll begin with the father of Miss Lauren Austin. She is a teacher with us. Ralph Austin, Airman 2nd Class, U.S. Air Force. The grandparent of Taylor Shalendra in Miss Mather's class, kindergarten class, Mr. David Bell, U.S. Army. Thank you. The grandfather of Grant Benner, 3rd grade, Miss Bailey's class, Fred Benner, E5 Sergeant, U.S. Army. Do you want to walk for your grandfather? Awesome. Grandfather of Grady Wilkes in 4th grade Miss Peace class, Jake Bourne, Special 4 Engineers, U.S. Army. The husband of Miss Paula Boston, who is our media specialist, Russell Boston, is the U.S. Air Force. Grandfather of Lucia Talsma in 4th grade Miss Sherichelle's class, and Laurel Talsma, 2nd grade Miss Height's class. Jack Brown, Corporal, U.S. Marines. The cousin of Gracie Fuller, Miss Jacobs' 2nd grade class, Jonah Bush, U.S. Marines. Grandfather of M.C. Cardwell in Miss Humma's 1st grade class, Bick Cardwell, Lieutenant, U.S. Navy. The great-grandfather of Oliver Iverson in Miss Mather's kindergarten class, Hal Chase, Colonel, U.S. Marines. Father of Mr. Hannon Prescott, who's one of our 4th grade teachers, Hannon Combs, Navy SEAL, U.S. Navy. Father of Mr. Alexander Cox, who's our art teacher, and he should be in here, hopefully. There he is. Robert Lee Cox, Sergeant, Infantry, U.S. Army. Grandfather of Luke McDonald, Miss Pease's 4th grade class, Miss Jerry Dobbs, E5, U.S. Army. The father of Gracie Fuller, Michael Joe Fuller, Private 1st class, U.S. Army. Great-grandfather of Christian Hawker, who is in Miss Turner's 1st grade class, Miles Walter Gale, Captain 511th Parachute Infantry, U.S. Army, in memoriam. Grandmother of Milan Russell in Miss Turner's 1st grade class, Miss Jennifer Gilchrist, E5 Specialist, U.S. Army. Cousin of Miss Lauren Austin, Patrick Gomes, Gunnery Sergeant, U.S. Marines. Father of Miss Liz Jacobs, 2nd grade teacher, Joseph Gordon, Flight Officer, Army and Air Force. The grandfather of Dorothy Werner in 5th grade Miss Benner's class, and Josephine Werner, 3rd grade Miss Peel's class, Mr. Joseph Hamilton, 1st Lieutenant, U.S. Air Force. Father of Michael Kramer, 5th grade, Treehorn Benner team, and David Kramer in Miss Walk Silverstein's 1st grade class. Michael Kramer, E6, U.S. Army. Yes, right here. Thanks. Great-grandfather of Ryan Cratchit and Miss Green's third grade class, Michael Cratchit. Private first class, U.S. Army. All right, the grandfather of Orlando McGee Jr. and Miss Hendrickson's first grade class, Abraham Lee, T. Sergeant, U.S. Air Force. The uncle of Lowry Ann Cathcart, first grade Miss Hendrickson, Scott Lowry, Staff Sergeant, Airborne Instructor, U.S. Army. Grandfather of Giada Stanton and Miss James' fourth grade class, Arthur Marino Jr., Lieutenant Colonel, U.S. Army. The father of Miss Adrienne Mather, one of our kindergarten teachers. We are honoring Malcolm Mather, Senior Airman, U.S. Air Force. The grandmother of Sadie Sheelor in Miss Turner's first grade and Shepard Sheelor in Miss Tustin's pre-K, we're honoring Susan Nito of Staff Sergeant, U.S. Army. The grandfather of Josh Siegel and Mr. Prescott's fourth grade class, we're honoring Edwin Netzloff, Lieutenant Colonel, U.S. Army. And we're also honoring his grandmother, Susan Netzloff, First Lieutenant, Nurse Corps, U.S. Army. Grandfather of Sadie Sheelor Turner and Shepard Sheelor and Miss Tustin's pre-K, Larry O'Neill, E5, U.S. Army. Grandfather of Beatrice Drummond in third grade Miss Peaks, Dr. Peaks class, Woody Parks, Specialist, third class, U.S. Navy. We're also honoring the grandfather of Beatrice Drummond, Dr. Peaks class, John Phillip, Captain, U.S. Army. We're honoring the grandfather and the uncle of Luke McDonald in Miss Peace's fourth grade class. Don Pratt was his grandfather, E4, U.S. Air Force Army Reserves. And then Don Pratt, E5, Coast Guard, Navy Reserve, and Captain. The father of Cornelius Reynolds in Mr. Holsing's fifth grade class, we're honoring James Michael Reynolds, U.S. Army Reserve. Grandfather of one of our 5th grade teachers, Miss Lindsay Treharn, we're honoring Leon Rosselli, 1st Lieutenant, 6th Infantry, U.S. Army. Grandfather of Shamar Shelley in Miss Miller's 1st grade class, we're honoring Irvin Shelley, E8, U.S. Army. The grandfather of London Collins in Miss Sears' kindergarten class, we're honoring Mr. Eddie Simmons, U.S. Army. We're honoring the father of Kwame Slaughter Jr. in Miss Holloway's 2nd grade class, Mr. Kwame Slaughter Sr., 1st Sergeant, U.S. Army. Next is the grandfather of Julia Castro in kindergarten in Professora's class, Mr. Donald Slawinski, U.S. Navy, MM3. Next is my grandfather, actually, Mr. Edward Slawinski. He's a captain in the U.S. Air Force. Next is the father of Andrew Storer in Miss Sears' kindergarten, Michael Storer, captain, U.S. Marines. The grandfather of Joseph Vari in Miss Niles' 5th grade class. We're recognizing Armand A. Vari Sr., 1st Lieutenant, U.S. Air Force. The grandfather of Delphina Grider in 4th grade, Mr. Prescott and Cherichelle's class, and Carolina Grider in Miss Height's 2nd grade, Mr. Joseph Vivona, Lieutenant Colonel, U.S. Army. The grandfather of Riley Sipe in Miss Walk's 1st grade class and Ella Sipe in Miss Cherichelle's 4th grade class, Mr. James Watkins, Lieutenant Colonel, U.S. Army. The grandfather of Elizabeth Nielsen in Miss Lewis's 3rd grade class and John Nielsen, 1st grade Turner's class, Mr. William A. Whitaker, Lieutenant, U.S. Navy. And finally, the uncle of Gracie Fuller in Miss Jacobs' 2nd grade class, Andreas Wildaber, U.S. Marine Corps. Let's take a moment and give a round of applause to all of our veterans who are with us today. Thanks to all of you and your family members for the personal commitment and the sacrifices you've made for our country. Before we begin our Veterans Walk around the school, as we close this event, it would not have happened at all without the hard work and coordinating efforts of Miss Betsy Werner. Would you please stand with me and give her a round of applause? Her commitment to this event, her organization of this event, made it happen. So thank you so much, Betsy. Okay, so we are now going to transition to our first ever Veterans Walk. So I'm going to go upstairs and invite our students to make their way to the hallway, and we're going to play some music. We will start the Veterans Walk. We'll go this way. First of all, third grade, you guys are going to stay right here, okay? You're going to stay here. We'll go out those doors, go up the stairs, and do we'll do the top floor, and then the second floor, and then we'll come back down. And we'll come right back here, okay? So I'll announce it in just a moment.